Hello, welcome back to the L1 show. I immediately forgot the date. It's the Halloween week though,
25th.
25th, and we didn't decorate for Halloween because I couldn't find our Halloween decoration, so I just put some snow around this plant.
Which it doesn't really snow usually for Halloween.
Though we did get a freeze this week, which is
And
weird for where we are.
Those plants would probably be dead.
If they were real.
If they were real, yeah, they're not real though.
They're not real.
They're not a harvest plant, is what I'm saying. Doesn't represent anything. But
It's
we
the
love
thought that counts.
it's scary.
I need to get some low maintenance plants to increase the oxygen content of the office.
Get pothos, or however you pronounce that. They're just those long, viney plants.
That sounds like it would just take over the room. Also, there's no light in here.
Yeah, the lack of light is maybe a problem.
You could open the blinds when we're not here.
No, we're not.
Well, that has nothing to do with the FTC, and yet there's no transition. So let's just talk about the FTC. And the FTC wants to do some piggybacking. Usually in government, piggybacking means taking something that we want and piling on the stuff that we don't want. But maybe this is not quite that. Maybe this is a good thing.
The FTC wants to add a right to repair to existing energy saving rules. Okay.
I see no problem with that.
So your hot water heater, your dryer, so forth, they got those yellow stickers on them, Energy Star, all that business. They're saying that should have instructions basically on how to do basic repairs and maintenance to your devices.
It's a little weird in California though, with the power saving stuff, because like your computer comes in strange power saving modes and it's like, oh, this is to comply with California regulations. You want to turn it off if you want your computer to run right. And it's like, that's interesting.
That will no longer be allowed.
But that's repairing it. Step one of repairing it is, the old school radio manuals used to come with like, do not replace R31 with a 10K resistor because then it will not be certified, blah, blah, blah. But people wanted to do that. So it was a really clever end run around being able to do that.
Well, the FTC is also taking a look at Visa and Mastercard. This took long enough, didn't it?
Visa and Mastercard under fresh FTC investigation over debit card routing, the Wall Street Journal. I thought this was finally going to be about the fact that credit card processing fees haven't gone down since the 80s. In fact, as a percentage of the transaction, it's considerably more than it's ever been. How is that not antitrust? But it's not that.
It's because you agree to it. You don't have to use it.
But it's hard to function in society without it.
Yeah, well,
That's your problem, right?
That's an issue, and that's kind of what's going on here. He's like, hey, you've got all this new technology and stuff, and you're really trying to screw the user with this. You're just trying to dip again. You've dipped so many times already that there's almost nothing left, but you're scraping the ladle on the bottom, trying to get that last little bit. And we wish you wouldn't do that. Visa and MasterCard say, no, we've done nothing wrong.
At the scale that Visa and MasterCard operate at, the profits are just beyond the dreams of avarice. And at that point, it's captured. I mean,
obviously, cryptocurrency is the way out, right? That's what everybody tells me. Hey, Bitcoin solves this problem. But it doesn't if they get their hands around it. And oh boy, do they want their hands around it.
The SEC's Gensler says that the CFTC authority over stablecoins should be bolstered because it's a little bit nebulous. What that means is that the SEC has encountered very competent legal arguments from the people that they've already fined or challenged legally with regard to crypto and stable coins. And so now they're asking for more laws so they can retroactively fine the people that they've, done stuff with. Like the Bored Ape people, for example, that they're investigating.
Unfortunately, the Tether disaster has given them a lot of ammo.
Yeah.
Because the Tether disaster was the other side of that coin, which is just as bad. Which is, the Wild West and stuff.
It's too bad that Satoshi Nakamoto is not using his hoard as some sort of enforcement action. So when you do something that's so bad for the entire genre of crypto that the goons don't show up with a wrench and just beat the crap out of you. It's like, this is what you get for doing this so badly that it can be considered criminal.
Yeah, that's definitely what we need. Anonymous billionaires running the world.
We're already there.
So well now.
Yeah, we're
That's
already
a great
there.
idea. And TikTok, of course, the big question is TikTok working for China? Some people say yes, some people say no, but more and more the people in charge seem to be leaning toward yes.
Former U.S. security officials and experts reserve concerns over TikTok compromising national security. Because it's everywhere.
Cloudflare says it's all good, but is it? I don't trust it. And this one is an open and shut case. Now, you would think, like, the first thing that came to my mind and was never mentioned here is what happened to the Lawmaker? And I believe it's because the answer was nothing. They had a degree of separation, and the investigators were like, yeah, we're fine with that.
Yeah. AT&T hit with a $23 million fine for bribing Illinois lawmaker. What were they bribing them over? AT&T really doesn't want to maintain its old landline infrastructure, which they got a lot of taxpayer money for, and they're just quietly abandoning it. And they had funded a company that was actually a lobbying group, but it seemed like it was a company that was saying, we can do this wirelessly and with 5G. But that's actually a giant pack of lies. I mean, they could do it, theoretically. Like, theoretically, there's a parallel universe somewhere with flying giant frogs. I mean, theoretically that exists, but just not in this universe.
Some biologist is going to post and be like, actually, I know where there are giant flying frogs, and I would love to study them.
So maybe just this once AT&T was in the right. I don't think that's true.
That's
There's no
happening.
universe where that's right.
That's happening to my parents.
Yeah.
They're ripping out their copper, and that the wireless replacement is not going to work. I don't know what they're going to do then. Probably just be like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Here's a bill.
A disaster strikes, and then everybody tries to use the phone at the same time. Guess what? Doesn't work.
I don't even think it'll be that. I think just mountains
regular
will
traffic,
simply make it impossible. No mobile phone carrier I've ever encountered has worked up in there.
Yeah.
So now in Wisconsin, we have this amazing new campus, a bunch of state-of-the-art buildings, and they were going to do a bunch of stuff with them. Remember Trump? That was one of his big things. Like, oh, we're bringing in all the Foxconn. It was a big election thing. Nothing has happened. They've done nothing with it. They've changed their mind a couple of times about what they might want to do with it. And now they've done it again. But this is the most confusing because they literally are telling us nothing.
Help! Foxconn has gone from AI 8K plus 5G to 3 plus 3 is equal to infinity.
This headline was just gibberish to me.
As is the presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you've gone this far down buzzword soup, this is just... there's got to be some really damning emails inside of Foxconn that say, okay, when we're dealing with the West, this is what's required. It's like, okay, sounds good. And they just make this weird presentation and it doesn't make any sense.
So for a while, they were telling people this was going to be a data center, but a couple of people have gone inside under NDA, so there's no photos of it. And they report that inside is a conference area, just like tables and like a convention center floor. And there is a shipping container outside with some servers in it. But that's as close as they've gotten to data center here. What will they do next? Well, I suppose they're just saying that everything you could possibly build here so that one of them could be true.
Electric vehicle. Not vehicles,
one.
just one.
It's going to be a really
Digital
nice one.
health. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. The previous headline for that area was AI 8K plus 5G, which also was buzzword.
Yeah.
soup.
What?
They don't know what they're going to do,
No.
but they can't admit it, especially before the election. And turns out Texas had a law on the books way back in the day. Boy, was that prescient, right?
Yeah.
Good job, Texas lawmakers. And Google did not do their homework, I don't think. And now they might be in a little trouble.
Texas has sued Google for allegedly capturing biometric data of millions without consent.
I like that they put allegedly in this headline, but I mean,
You have
know.
to. You'll
I
get
know,
sued
but
into
we all
oblivion.
know. Like they were.
There'll be those videos of people just like getting out of their car and shooting in through the windshield of the police car, and the title has to be allegedly shoots a cop.
Yeah, which hasn't been proved. But like again, I mean, is anyone surprised that Google would do that?
This has to do with scraping your face and biometrics and stuff from all the various online places. Texas actually specifically forbade that.
You're not allowed.
And Google was like, that won't stop me because I can't read.
And Intel, they also have a bit of an issue with some real estate.
Intel sued over historic DEC chip site's future. This is in Massachusetts. They had an R&D office there. They shut it down, and then it looks like they built a giant warehouse.
Well, they haven't built it yet, but they've put forward plans, and they're like, yeah, we're going to recycle this building site, and we're not sure what we're going to do with it, but we want the permits. And they're like, wait, you have to tell us what you're going to do with it. No, just give us the permits. And legally, apparently that works if you have really good lawyers. So a lot of people are upset, and they're saying that there's two old age homes flanking it on either side. So what is now a peaceful retirement community would become basically an Amazon hub, which is I think something like 700 trucks per business day.
Was Intel planning to do a lot of business in the future? I mean,
No, they could rent it out.
oh, okay.
Wouldn't have to be theirs. And China's having their big, what do they call that thing? Is that called a Congress? The 5-year get together where Xi stands up in front of everybody and reminds him that he's still the supreme ruler and they better not question that. That's going on right now. So he has to start talking about like, hey, what are we going to do for the next 5 years?
They're going to win the tech race, and it points to a new wave of Chinese state-led spending. It worked out really well in the building category, so now we're going to do it in the technology category.
Tofu dreg chips, which turns out is actually a thing which is missorted.
Way missorted. It's like multiple tabs.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because Russia, we'll just jump around and I'll try to get this right by going back.
China dumps dud chips on Russia. Moscow media mourns. It's a 40% failure rate of semiconductors. Okay, because nobody else will deal with them.
40% failure rate would make your testing burden probably so high that it wouldn't make sense to buy the chips.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, basically you have to test every single thing.
I don't know if this is was in one of the articles that's coming up or in a different section, but in some of the drones that have been down in that conflict area, they traced the serial numbers on the cameras and they came from Swedish speed traps. So like the speed camera robots, they took the cameras and then Sweden was like, oh yeah, we have had 100 of our side of highway speed cameras that have been stolen recently. We wondered why that was. Turns out they're going into drones. That's neat.
It's not good that they're being used to kill people, but on the other hand, it's good that they're not on the roads anymore. And
Well, that's what we do here at the L1 show. We're bringing out the
Silver
good
lining.
side. Yeah,
Yeah.
the silver lining of this story.
you got to look on the bright side of life. I'm famous for that. And what was supposed to be back to the Asian block, I tried to
saw that this
subcategorize,
week.
which makes the sort so much faster. Definitely going to keep doing that. But it's hard to think like, what are the subcategories?
It kind of depends week to week what
Yeah.
the stories are.
But anyway, this is the other one from the Asia block. And Japan is apparently just now getting on the crypto bandwagon for real.
Japanese regulators loosen crypto laws and make it easier to list coins.
This image is a little. Is that a Bitcoin bowing to a Japanese man?
Yeah, obviously. Now, they say that the one who bows lower is showing more respect. It's hard to tell. They're about the same, I guess. Maybe a little bit more from the man.
He's bowing down to money.
So they've made it very difficult to launch a lot of that stuff for obvious reasons, Tether. But they said they're going to loosen that up because nobody's doing it. Nobody's coming into Japan in order to do these things. And in India, we have almost the same argument as we've had from a ton of other countries.
India fines Google 162 million for anti-competitive practices on Android. And you dig into it and you find that they're only scratching the surface with what they've been fined for the 162 million.
This specifically is pre-installed Google software, which is...
And that's it?
that's-
Not the Play Store,
those are pending.
not the profile. Like you have to create a profile. What if you want to take your data to another phone? Oh, you got to do that through the cloud.
Yeah, they don't care for that.
None of that was part of that. That was just bundled apps.
And Russia, of course, continues to eject technology from its company as it is suspicious. In this case, they're probably right to suspect this.
Yeah.
I imagine that the CIA and all of government agencies are doing everything they can to get a hold of this data.
Russian lawmaker urges WhatsApp ban for state employees. That makes sense. Kind of like how there's a TikTok ban for state employees here.
But WhatsApp is so overwhelmingly popular in Russia. It's going to be, think about all of the, the hospital receptionist who gets phished and then it takes down the whole place. Like, how do you root out WhatsApp from every single weak point of your organization? It's going to be tough.
We've got a lot of problems right now that are maybe not WhatsApp related.
Russia definitely does. Yes.
Yeah.
They have some issues. And this one's a mystery, and
I heard differing accounts. I almost cut this one, but
oh, what, they're saying it's fake?
Well, no. So we'll here read the headline first, and then we'll talk about it. Internet connectivity worldwide was impacted by severed fiber cables in France. So there were actually 3 cuts. There were 2 in France and 1, I think, in Scotland.
Right.
The one in Scotland, I think they found out was actually like, I think some idiot with a backhoe. And then,
They
but
said
the
boat was most likely.
yeah, and then the French ones, I think they're not entirely certain if that is sabotage or if that was just a normal fishing boat problem.
But it was overwhelmingly unlikely in their estimation that all 3 would happen in that short of amount of time.
Yeah, that's what was the suspicious part. But we haven't got any more details on it yet since this literally like just happened.
But the question is who benefits, and I don't know who would benefit from this.
Yeah.
It might have just been the 2. We don't know.
And of course, the big worry in Europe this winter is power. It seems like they are prepping the populace to not have power, which is terrifying. But when you don't have any power, you also don't have the cloud. And we must not lose the cloud.
UK government could ration diesel supplies to keep data centers up. Data centers could be allocated a big share of fuel in potential crisis. Yeah, because otherwise the economic damage.
You know what? Just turn the cooling down in the data center and
open the
fill it
doors.
with refugees.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
A warming center,
Yeah.
dual purpose. A lot of people apparently upset when these show up in their neighborhood as well, because then all the power gets diverted to that.
The data center?
Yeah,
Oh.
That would be
there's
great.
a comment about that.
Because people would be like heating up their soup and
Yeah,
water and stuff
on the
from it,
server.
and it would be spilling out.
Oops.
And here's a small update. This gentleman we talked about last week, he was suspected of doing some things that might have been, anti-country,
A
anti-homeland.
little treasonous, just a light treason.
Seems like they found more evidence.
Germany fires its cybersecurity chief over Russia ties. Yeah, he's gone now. That's the follow-up. He's gone.
He gone, man.
He's not coming back.
Probably be tough for him to find a job
Yeah.
going forward.
Well, at least in anything IT related.
Or, well, maybe in Germany. He might find a job elsewhere.
It's going to be tough for him to get to Russia.
Yeah.
And I don't think we talked about this story. We may have, but Turkey, I think maybe we did a couple of weeks ago. Turkey has come up with a new law, which is kind of like the PayPal thing. It's like, if we don't like what you do, that's disinformation and we will crush you for it. And their opposition politicians are screaming about it. I don't think they're going to have much luck here.
Turkish opposition applies to annul disinformation law.
We'll follow up on that. I don't think they'll be successful. But let's hope. Let's thoughts and prayers for the Turkish opposition. And Mexico, see, Mexico was the wild card here. How do you subcategorize Mexico? It doesn't
Wouldn't that be
fit.
like South America?
It's North America, right?
I guess technically, yeah. Central America.
I put it in the North America section, where it is lone story, the only story, because the U.S. section gets its own.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a mess. Subcategorizing.
We
chat
should just
is
do
difficult.
North America and then have US and then Mexico, Canada.
3 divisions?
No. I'm saying like they all go together. So
But
like,
then I don't want to sort inside of that. That's the whole point. Shorter sorts go infinitely faster. It's almost like there could be an algorithm to measure how much faster a sort would form. Anyway, Mexico. The last people bought some Pegasus, and the new people are like, what? Why would we do that?
Mexico probes whether Pegasus spyware purchases were even legal. The cartel probably has access to this. That's the only thing I could think of while reading this.
This is a nice image, right? Because it's all ones and zeros, and then Pegasus.
yeah, it's not a good image, but they put a lot of effort into it. Like, because you see how it blurs when you get closer to the camera, almost like they actually.
What's bad about it?
It's just like creativity. It's not particularly like good at illustrating the point.
How would you have done it?
They could have just done something like Pegasus related, not just 0101.
They could have
Pegasus.
had an actual Pegasus like the horse,
Yeah.
and have this guy like cutting its throat. How
Right.
cool would that be?
That would have been way cooler than
We need
this.
to set up a website that has stable diffusion wired up to a web form that costs $1, so you can just be like, give me Pegasus stock art, and it coughs up a unicorn flying or something.
Haven't several companies already done that?
Yeah.
Anyway, this guy ran on a platform of like openness and not spying on the people. So he kind of has to do this. I doubt they'll get a refund. And here's a head scratcher. I was kind of waiting to see an update on this, but I think at this point, still a mystery.
GPS interference caused the FAA to reroute Texas air traffic. The experts are stumped. 2 days. weirdly, something going on around an airport.
So if you entered into the yellow zone there, even the taxiing planes on the ground would get wrong GPS coordinates,
That's bizarre.
which is hugely dangerous.
That's so odd.
It's weird that it's just one place as well.
Inside the airport,
Yeah.
like how do you target that? Is that a satellite?
Well, we also had the issue, what was it, last week, where all the airport websites went down? But why would they just target one airport if it was like a
That was
malicious
Russia.
attack? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, manipulating GPS is so much more impressive and dangerous than
Yeah.
hacking a WordPress site.
Right.
South Korea had a real bad time this past week because they had to go without all their favorite online apps.
Data center fire takes out South Korea's top 2 web giants. Ooh.
I think it was the better part of a weekend, 2 or 3 days.
Other than diesel fuel, what is there to catch on fire in the data center?
The fan cam community is just tragic right now.
And it was so bad and people were so upset. I mean, think about if people had to go for 2 or 3 days without all Facebook, Instagram, and so forth. The torches and pitchforks were out, and this guy had to fall on the sword.
Kakao CEO, a co-CEO, resigns. Company to invest over $300 million to build data center after mass outage. They're going to build their own cloud.
It was not just social media, there was like bank payments, all kinds of stuff. Just the whole thing
Wiped.
shut down for the weekend. It's probably the nicest, most peaceful weekend a lot of people had in a long time.
Wow, I just went over and I read a book and took a nap and then I took a walk in the woods.
Now, do you guys recall, I believe, we know this happened at the Chinese Olympics, but one of the other, wasn't there a FIFA event that also tried to do this previously? Pretty sure there was.
Qatar Spyware. Schneier on security has the information about this. We think this is the same stuff we saw at the Olympics, but
It's not
Yeah.
exactly the same, clearly, but so Qatar has 2 apps that you must install on your phone, according to like the literature for visiting whatever this is FIFA, right? It's the World Cup. I don't know. Maybe it is some kind of soccer event.
World
And-
Cup soccer, yeah.
One of them is for the pandemic tracking because they're still doing that. And the other one is for the World Cup itself. Both of them request insane permissions on your phone. The craziest one, to be able to make calls and send texts without your permission and see everything. They can see everything, track your location, obviously. Now, some people are saying, like in the past, just ignore it and they won't actually stop you. But I don't know. I don't think I would go.
But the
Microsoft,
World Cup, you don't want to go to the World Cup?
I know it's such an important sporting event.
Here in the US, yeah.
We're gonna get a lot of comments. Just like it's so much better than your stupid Super Bowl. Microsoft, they had a little data leak, or so they claim, a little data leak.
Microsoft is disputing just how big its customer data leak was. Cybersecurity vendor claimed that it was more than 65,000 companies. Microsoft said, no, just a few.
They didn't really give totals.
They're just like, no, you're wrong. Let's get that headline out there so that way people think it's not that bad.
And that was not the hack. That was just the oops, we didn't secure the database, which is embarrassing.
We built this API. It's really handy.
And this is more fuel to that FTC complaint, or the SEC complaint about stablecoins and other cryptocurrencies, because I think we all have seen enough headlines to know that it really is the Wild West.
Hackers have stolen a record $3 billion in cryptocurrency this year. Is this really a CBS News headline, or is this a headline a plant from the people that would be interested in the SEC regulating this stuff?
They would never collude. And when you do get screwed on crypto, because it is such Wild West and crazy, and you don't really know who to blame, you can just lose everything and have no recourse. And then you just start suing whoever you can.
Crypto scam victims seek retribution from Coinbase. I've substituted that wasn't the correct headline.
They're
but
seeking
that's
to
fine.
hold Coinbase responsible.
So they think that Coinbase didn't do enough to protect them from themselves.
I usually hate it when a website doesn't automatically put the cursor in the search bar, but that's a good reason not to do that.
Yeah.
And when you do horrible things, other people will sniff around in your email and find it. They will spy on you, and they will use, if they're rich, they'll have a lot of resources to do that. So just keep that in mind. Just be very careful about what you put in writing.
Former WSJ reporter, Wall Street Journal reporter, says that a law firm used Indian hackers to sabotage his career. Okay.
So he was trying to start his own business that had to do with the stuff that he was reporting on. So he kind of colluded with some overseas guys and he was like, yeah, let's start our own business because I have a lot of knowledge about this now. And the people found it and they sent it to all of his editors and all of his competitors, and he kind of got blacklisted.
Ooh.
Try to be ethical if you're a reporter. I know it's hard. Here's a scary warning for you if you're running VMware.
Over 45,000 VMware ESXi servers just reached end of life. It was time to upgrade last year, and you knew, but you didn't. Also, there's a beta version of VMware 8.
It's got to be more secure than those. It's interesting how, because no one trusts poker like AI or, you know, algorithms or software, online poker is now just videos of actual poker dealers dealing cards.
Oh, wow.
To try and fix that. But apparently that's not enough.
Streaming brought new ways to cheat at poker. Garrett Adelstein thinks that he was a victim of one. This reads more like Ocean's 11 than something connected to reality.
Also,
Okay.
MSN, what are you thinking? This many words about a poker scandal? I didn't read all of it, but I read enough to know that he doesn't know exactly how it happened, but he suspects at least one employee was part of it.
Yeah, but I mean,
And the way he lost, he's famous for going all in. The way he lost is he went all in, and the other person had just a garbage hand. But it was the perfect hand for that situation. And so he got. And he's now stopped playing poker and full time works on trying to uncover the scandal.
It reads a little bit like when you're playing a game and then it's like, you know, you get sniped and it's like, that guy couldn't have known I was there. He's hacking. It feels a little bit like that, but in much, much more words.
You guys have done some PUBG reporting that I thought was a little questionable. I was like, no, I think we might have
I've
just.
gotten the message quite a few times when they like pop up when you log in. That's like,
Yeah, well, if you're using buckshot,
no.
a couple of them are going to hit the squirrel. And we might, you know what? We talked about the Facebook eye tracking stuff, and we were trying to think like all the dystopian ways that they could do things with that. We thought they didn't think about this one.
Apple's mixed reality headset to offer iris scanning for payments and logging in. Meanwhile, Apple just waltzes in and it's like, it's convenience. Don't you want convenience? I'm now
Not at this cost.
in my head. The old guy from Family Guy is now that's the sound of Tim Cook.
That's that'd be funny if, you know, like I set my parents up with that because they have the password situation is dire in the house.
Right.
But and then the only way it's like, oh, well, I want to order something from Amazon, but I got to put on the helmet.
I haven't cleaned it since last time I used it.
And in Texas,
This could almost be a nonsense. But it's dark.
it's not as bad as you think right off the bat, but it's still a terrible, terrible idea. And we got to think back to the fact that we're taking blood from all the babies already, taking blood from everybody who gets arrested, whether you get charged with anything or not. And is there any possibility this wouldn't eventually end up there?
Texas school sends parents DNA kits to identify their kids' bodies in emergencies. The darkness is real.
Also, when is the last time there was a school emergency that left unidentifiable bodies?
A couple of weeks ago.
What was that?
The one where the cops didn't go in for a while. The bodies were so mutilated that they didn't.
Uvalde?
Uh,
How did he manage to do that with a rifle?
there was just so many bullet wounds.
Oh, that's dark.
I don't believe that at all. The dental records would absolutely work there. I mean, unless we get a shooter with a flamethrower, I don't think this is too much of a risk. This is a terrifying story because, you know, like private property is one of those cornerstones of actually being a free society, and we clearly don't have that.
DN man finds TWRA hidden camera on his property. Oh, I missed this one.
TN being Tennessee.
Yeah.
So this guy had a bunch of property. They suspected him of baiting something there, deer or something, I guess, right? So they snuck onto his property and put up the camera. He was driving around, spotted it, took it down, and stored it. And now he's been charged with stealing government property and illegal baiting.
But you can't do that because that's crazy.
So they did it.
Do they have more evidence that he was baiting?
Apparently it was on the camera.
But they put the camera there via trespassing.
Illegally.
Yeah.
Right, yep.
It's insane.
Can't break the law that's crazy.
And I remember we had a previous story, I was maybe a couple years ago, where they had tagged a car with a GPS tracker. And that person was like, no, it's mine now. And a judge went with them.
Yeah.
But I guess that's over now. The frog has boiled that much more in that amount of time.
Hopefully this guy gets a better lawyer, and appeals it.
And now he took a plea.
Wow.
Stupid man. I bet he talked to the cops too. You know what? You deserve what you get. Learn some civics.
Except that sets a precedent for the rest of us.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to think, like, what would I do in that situation? Destroy it, you're going to get arrested. Take it down, you're going to get arrested. Leave it there, you're probably going to get arrested.
Was there anything even identifying it as a state-owned piece of property?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it had their, like a label or something on it.
Maybe you could call them. I don't know.
I think you could probably take it to a lawyer in that case and be like, hey, figure out, did they get a warrant to allow this to be put here?
Okay, now it's costing you $5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better than going to jail.
You didn't know that. And over in China, like I said, they are doing the big thing. I can't remember what the name of the big thing is, but it's where they all get together and pretend that it's not
The gathering of the juggalos, I think.
let's refer to it as the gathering of the communists. And when that is going on, it's a really sensitive time. And
Just heard a tire squeal outside.
they don't want anything making waves.
China censors the word Beijing after a rare protest in the city. There was I don't know if the translation was right, but I saw some video of it, and it was very benign. It was, we don't want revolution, we just want some fair and reasonable stuff. And it had a couple of things, and that was, met with
There's quite a few little protests popping up, but
This sign right here, according to the article, said, we don't want lockdowns, we want food.
Yeah.
Because they're starving to death. Because the zero, we still can't say it, but the 0C policy is still happening, still going on.
yeah.
Which is crazy because, like, as much as the Great Firewall is effective, they have to know that the rest of the world has moved on, right?
Yeah.
Did you see there? I didn't put this in, but like there was another story that was like 1 in 7 British people are skipping meals.
Good Lord. I was thinking about here, if something crazy happened here and there was a government food truck that came around and it's like, here's your government peanut butter and the other stuff. Sorry, we're all suffering, but I'll be here tomorrow with more food. That would probably go a long way toward making everybody not insane.
That would get robbed.
Probably on like day 3 or 4. Day 1 or 2 would be a novelty. Day 3 or 4 is like, we could rob that.
Day 1, day 2, everybody feels good about it. You're enjoying your peanut butter. Day 3, there's a meth head trying to sell you peanut butter.
It's like, what happened to Rob? Is it Rob's gone?
Don't worry about him.
Do you even know how to drive? What's wrong with your teeth?
Too much peanut butter. 33 minutes. We are kind of burning through these today because we're pressed for time due to the horrible municipality Halloween celebrations.
There's a parade and we got to get out of here before we get trapped. All right. We'll see you guys. Bye.